After one of the biggest nights in brand history, WWE NXT continues to move forward. The February 7th, tonight's edition, or last night's edition rather, of the Gold brand included important fallout from Vengeance Day. Carmelo Hayes defeated Apollo Crews in dominant fashion before turning to Bron Breakker, who defeated Grayson Waller to retain the NXT Championship. He would speak on his plans for the future. Roxanne Perez retained the NXT Women's Championship over both Gigi Dolan and Jacy Jayne after the two seemed to implode. Bayley was set to return to NXT to speak with both in a special edition of Ding Dong Hello. Sol Ruca looked to hurt Zoe Stark's pride by defeating her in a match. Valentina Feroz continued to learn how to win with Elektra Lopez in a big match against Lyra Valkyria. And this show looked back at a big night for NXT, but also began to build the foundations for Stand and Deliver on April 1. Hello, friends, and welcome to another edition of Wednesday Night Madness. I am your host, Anthony Florio, sitting in tonight for good old MF Michael Fletcher, who will not be available this evening due to work commitments beyond his control, but he will be back with us tomorrow night for TXN Sports World preview of Super Bowl 57. I am joined by Michael Bullock tonight, and tonight Bullock and I will take you through last night's NXT and an unbelievable AEW Dynamite. So with that, let's dive right on into NXT last night, and we started it off with an in-ring segment. Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams, they basked in the glory of Melo's win over. And as Hayes turned to the future and Bron Breakker, JD McDonough came out to challenge him, setting up a match for later in the show. I'll tell you what, McDonough was treated like a much bigger deal here than he has been recently, but it still came off as a former top guy set up to lose to the new big name. WWE could have set this up over the week and hyped it more, but, you know, it was short and sweet and to the point. So that's really all I can say on that. So with that, let's get into our first match of the night, which was Zoe Stark squaring off against Sol Ruca. Zoe Stark wins the match, 3 minutes and 47 seconds. I'll tell you what, Sol Ruca continues to look better, and she and Zoe Stark have chemistry to further explore. While the match was one-sided, it is clear why WWE plans to do more with these two in the coming months. With each win, Stark inches closer to a title match. She is the best option on the roster to next challenge Roxanne Perez and do so at Stand and Deliver. Ruca went for a springboard splash but landed on the knees of Stark, who then knocked her out by sending her face first into the turnbuckle. And that was the only real highlight of this match. I probably would give it about 2 stars for the effort. So, you know, we're not going to really talk about these short matches here tonight. We'll only get into, you know, the relevant stuff. So that's that. Dabba-Kato, fresh off his surprise return at Vengeance Day after he turned on Apollo Crews. He went up against Dante Chen. Dabba-Kato won the match, 2 minutes and 41 seconds. And Dabba-Kato threw around Dante Chen with ease. It was a near complete squash, though the big man did briefly allow Chen to get in a solid offensive combination. What mattered was that Kato looked smooth as the dominant force. He has always been a limited in-ring performer because of his size, but WWE has spent years building him up. This run will likely be make or break. He has major upside if he can put it all together. And Dante Chen fought out of the corner with a boot and an impressive combination of clotheslines and uppercuts to send Kato to his knees, but the big man knocked him out with a single chop. So this was probably about a 1-star effort. Keep in mind, there's going to be a lot of short matches here. There's going to be a lot of cutouts on this show here tonight. I know MF probably would have wanted us to get into all of it, but, you know, we're only going to get into the relevant matches. This next one was another match here. It was Isla Dawn, Alba Fire in her corner, squaring off against Tatum Paxley. Isla Dawn wins the match, 3 minutes and 8 seconds. Tatum Paxley fought hard to make this somewhat interesting, but it was too short to be exciting. Hopefully, the teased tag team match of Dawn and Alba Fire versus Tatum Paxley and Ivy Nile will be given more of a spotlight. It looks like Isla Dawn is beginning to build steam in NXT with Fire in her corner. Together, they already came off as a better tag team to hold the gold than the current odd couple champions of Fallon Henley and Kiana James. And, you know, This came about, via an earlier in the day segment in the training room. Isla Dawn blamed Tatum Paxley for attacking Nikita Lyons, while Diamond Mine were trying to focus on Indusher. And then after the match, Fire looked ready to attack Paxley, but Nile made the save. So, and then after this, Roxanne Perez, the women's champion, was being interviewed by Mackenzie Mitchell. And she was interrupted by, of all people, Katana Chance and Kaden Carter. And Chance and Carter taunted the champion about her lack of friends. But then later, Roxanne Perez announced that she has a partner to face Chance and Carter next week. And that partner is none other than the final boss herself, Miko Satomura. Whoa. Okay. That's already an exciting hook for next week. No question about it. All right, now we finally have something relevant to get into here. The match, Carmelo Hayes versus JD McDonough. Carmelo Hayes wins the match, 13 minutes and 18 seconds. Yeah, this was the fight of the night for me. This was 3.5 stars, teetering on 3 3/4 of a star. Really more 3.5. Even though, all right, Hayes and McDonough traded big shots in this match, but it was the surprise return of Ilya Dragunov that made the difference. The distraction allowed Melo to steal a pinfall win. This was a very good television bout, even with the messy finish. The two are fantastic technicians and athletes who work well together. While neither man could afford a loss at this moment, the arrival of Dragunov protected the necessary evil after another big loss. This was the right time to bring back the Tsar, as McDonough's attack on him had almost been forgotten. It is a shame that the necessary evil was not better built up in the time his rival was gone, though. This ending did obscure what should have been the bigger story. Melo is going after Braun Breaker, but without the NXT champion in attendance, the brand just delayed its biggest story for a future week. Melo tried to taunt McDonough by dribbling a basketball, but McDonough kicked it out of the arena. It was a clever back and forth that does not translate to writing. McDonough caught Melo running with a standing Spanish fly for a near fall and then went to the top rope, only to get caught with a side kick and springboard leg drop. And then after the match, Ilya Dragunov ran JD McDonough out of the arena. 3.5 stars. This was the fight of the night for me. No question about it. So Michael Bullock, finally something relevant on this show. You said this was going to be you predicted this was going to be a back to reality show. And it started off like one, but at least we got something good out of this here. Carmelo Hayes defeating JD McDonough, 13 minutes and 18 seconds. So, Michael Bullock, come on in. Your thoughts on Hayes and McDonough? Fight of the night for me, 3.5 stars.
Yeah, 3.5 stars for me. This was just a tremendous match here. What can you say? We knew this was going to be good when you had these two in here, and yeah, yeah, big win for Carmelo Hayes. It looks more and more likely he's going to be the next challenger for Braun Breaker, and for JD McDonough, now he's got a new problem, and that's the returning Ilya Dragunov, and there's some unfinished business with those two. So yeah, nothing more for me to say. So it's yours, Florio.
All right, Bullock. Next up, we had Lyra Valkyria squaring off against Valentina Feroz. Lyra Valkyria wins 2 minutes and 51 seconds. Another match, to be honest with you. This was a match to progress the story of Elektra Lopez and Valentina Feroz while giving Valkyria another win. It served its purpose, but it was barely about. It would have been nice to see more action before the predictable finish. NXT has not done enough to make this weekly story interesting. Feroz needs to choose a side, so creative can start building another tag team in a division that needs depth. The more interesting angle is Lyra Valkyria versus Cora Jade, which got no development here, sadly. So another fight, another maybe 1-star effort. Next up, we had a fun little sprint here, as it was Channing Stacks Lorenzo squaring with Tony D'Angelo in his corner, squaring off against Odyssey Jones. And Channing Stacks Lorenzo picks up the win, 5 minutes and 11 seconds. Michael Bullock, fun little sprint, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it was a fun little sprint. I'll give it about maybe 2 stars at best. I mean, it definitely could have been a whole lot better, but it is what it is. So it's yours, Florio.
Yeah, 2.5 for me, if I'm going to be honest with you. This was a fine match, but Jones felt like an odd dance partner for the underboss. The focus was to give Stacks a convincing win. He could have gotten that over plenty of wrestlers rather than beating someone NXT has been slowly building into a star. It did not help that the two lacked chemistry. It was a match that began with Jones dominating and ended with the underboss in command. There was no time when they worked together to do anything memorable. To NXT's credit, Stacks has begun to feel like a bigger deal, but it has been taking away from Tony D'Angelo's mystique. He was one of NXT's top heels, but he just seems lost now, if I'm being honest. So with that, move on to our next match. Impromptu match that was made earlier in the night. Tag team matchup, as it was pretty deadly. Kit Wilson and Elton Prince squaring off against Andre Chase and Duke Hudson, Chase U. And the winners of the match in 9.5 minutes. Pretty deadly. Second best fight of the night here. And the two hottest teams and the two hottest tag teams in NXT fought in what was the most story-driven match the brand has put on in months. While there have been better technical matches, this is the kind of bout NXT needs more than anything. Wilson and Prince were electric, selling their depression and slow rise back to confidence. Chase U remains one of the most over acts in NXT, making the most of every hot tag sequence. From here, NXT looks to be moving forward with Gallus versus Pretty Deadly and the Schism versus Chase U. And both have high potential to elevate the tag team division in NXT. And you notice Thea Hale. Thea Hale came down when she finally got to the ring. She was very much shaken up because obviously the Schism got to her. And it stemmed from a backstage segment. Thea Hale questioned Tiffany Stratton's derogatory statements about Chase U. But then Hale was surprise attacked by Ava Raine and dragged away. Elton Prince completely missed the crossbody out of the corner and then bounced off Hudson until he was thrown easily out of the ring. And Wilson asked, "What's the bloody point?" And Chase caught him in the ropes and punched him repeatedly. Pretty Deadly accidentally elbowed Chase in the face together, which began to build up the confidence of the heels. And then after the match, Gallus appeared on that little ramp there, that little perch up there to stare down Pretty Deadly. So that could be the tag team title match for Stand and Deliver. You don't know. So, but at the end of the day, I'm going to give this 3, maybe 3.25 stars for the effort. So, second best fight of the night for me. So not much more to say. Michael Bullock, Pretty Deadly, defeating Chase U 9.5 minutes. And it looks like Chase U could be entering into a program with the Schism after you saw all those happy face stickers all over Thea Hale, courtesy of Ava Raine and company.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, I'll give this about 3.25 as well. I mean, it was a fun match here, and yeah, it looks like now Chase U's got some new problems in the Schism after what Ava Raine did to Thea Hale. So yeah, a lot to make out of after this match. So there's really nothing more to say. It's yours, Florio.
All right, and now we close out with the closing segment, the main event segment of the night. It was Bayley. It was Ding Dong Hello, and her guests were Gigi Dolan and JC Jane of Toxic Attraction, but Toxic Attraction's no more. JC Jane turned on Gigi Dolan and Bullock. What can I say? I mean, we thought that they were gonna stay together, and they were teasing going after Io Sky and Dakota Kai for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships. But JC Jane turns on Gigi Dolan, and I don't know what else there is to say, Bullock, except Toxic Attraction is no more.
Yep, Toxic Attraction is no more. I mean, JC Jane, I think she just made it perfectly clear that she wants to go on her own, and she doesn't need Gigi Dolan anymore. And I mean, wow. I mean, all I can say is Florio. The mighty have fallen. I mean, Toxic Attraction was one of the most dominant factions in NXT, and then it all started to crumble. I mean, when Gigi Dolan and JC Jane lost the tag titles, and then of course Mandy Rose, of course, lost the NXT Women's title, and then of course she got fired. So yeah, so this is going to be interesting to see what happens now with both of them being solo. So yeah, there's really nothing more to say. It's yours, Florio.
Yeah. Outside of Bayley's presence, it was unclear why this was the main event. If this was supposed to be Toxic Attraction emulating the Rockers breakup, it did not have the same level of impact. While Dolan and Jane have been an important tag team for NXT, they never made it to the top of WWE. I hate to say it, but breaking them up now makes Toxic Attraction's whole run feel like a waste, especially when the company needs more women's tag teams. Dolan and Jane used the door for their entrance, prompting Bayley to call them pros. And Toxic Attraction seemed to get on the same page as they began focusing on winning the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship from Damage Control. But obviously, nothing came about that. So that's really all I can say on that. So overall thoughts, like Bullock said when we did our Vengeance Day show the other night, Bullock made the bold prediction, although it wasn't really a bold prediction because I kind of felt the same thing. Michael Bullock went on the record and said that he thought that this NXT show was gonna be a back to reality show. You damn right it was, Bullock. You damn right it was. Oh my God. I could probably give this at the absolute best a 3 out of 10, maybe a 3.5, because it was a major cool down from Vengeance Day to kick off the road to Stand and Deliver. Other than Carmelo Hayes and JD McDonough and Pretty Deadly versus Chase U matches, nothing really stand out as the show was focused on character development and world building. And that's all there really is. I mean, that's all there was. I mean, everything else you can basically skip, to be honest with you. But if you're pressed for time, go out of your way to see Carmelo Hayes and JD McDonough. Go out of your way to see Pretty Deadly and Chase U. And maybe the closing segment. But other than that, it's this was not appointment viewing or required viewing or anything else. So 3 to 3.5 out of 10 for me. So Michael Bullock, like you said the other night, you said it was going to be a back to reality show. Ho! It was a back to reality show and then some.
Yeah, I had a feeling it was going to be back to reality, and I was right on it. I mean, this just absolutely stunk up the joint here. So I'm with you. 3 out of 10 for me. I mean, not a good show at all. So yeah, there's really nothing more to say except let's get into AEW Dynamite.
Which, spoiler alert, was a far, far better show. Let me tell you that right now. All right. Just let me get my stuff together here. Championships dominated the conversation tonight on AEW Dynamite as nearly every match on tonight's jam-packed card carried title implications. None bigger than the showdown between Bryan Danielson and Rush. A win for the American Dragon would earn him a shot at the AEW World Heavyweight Championship and a 60-minute Iron Man match against MJF next month at Revolution. A loss would send him to the back of the line, a month's worth of grueling battles wasted. Did Danielson achieve his goal, or did the evil scarf-wearing champion have the last laugh by way of a Rush victory? Find out now with this recap of AEW Dynamite. AEW Dynamite live tonight, as always, from the El Paso County Coliseum in El Paso, Texas. And we started it off with the AEW World Championship Eliminator match. AEW World Heavyweight Champion Maxwell Jacob Friedman, MJF, squaring off against Konosuke Takeshita. And the winner of the match, in 13 minutes and 48 seconds, it was the AEW World Heavyweight Champion, Maxwell Jacob Friedman, MJF. And wow. This, let me just double check. Okay. This was a fantastic, succinct match that did not overstay its welcome, but jam-packed a ton of action into a 20-minute window. Takeshita once again performed up to the moment, but it was MJF's command of his work, as well as the audience, that really enhanced the contest. The crowd was all over him for his cheap heel tactics, be it rolling to the floor to avoid further punishment, or draping his foot over the bottom rope at the opportune time, breaking up the pinfall. Whether it was showing off his in-ring psychology or physical attributes, such as the above backflip spot, he was on fire here and proved that he could miss 2 months of ring time and come back as good as he has ever been. The win all but ensures that MJF will enter Revolution as the AEW World Heavyweight Champion, while Bryan Danielson will have the opportunity to cash his ticket to that pay-per-view and a 1-hour Iron Man match later in the show. If Danielson and Rush have a match as good as what MJF and Takeshita had to start the night, this show is going to instantly rank among the best in-ring episodes in Dynamite history. MJF used referee Paul Turner to stunt Takeshita's offensive onslaught, then took the young star down and immediately targeted his left arm. MJF attempted to elevate up and over his opponent, but Takeshita rocked him with a boot. Takeshita paid homage to El Paso's own, the late great Eddie Guerrero, with a frog splash for a dramatic 2 count. The babyface missed a dive over the top rope, crashing on the floor and continuing to nurse his injured left arm. Takeshita rocked MJF with a lariat from the top rope, but the champ backflipped and landed on his feet. The babyface followed up a rebound lariat with a pin, but MJF countered into an armbar. And then, idiot, MJF exclaimed as Takeshita used his injured left arm to block a right hand. Great match to start things off. 3.5 to 3 3/4 of a star. Absolutely fantastic way to start the match and to start the night, rather. So there isn't much more for me to say. Michael Bullock, MJF defeating Konosuke Takeshita, 13 minutes and 48 seconds, 3.5 to 3 3/4 of a star. What a jump off.
Yeah, and I'll even say this for you. This match alone was better than the entire NXT episode we saw last night.
Amen, brother.
I mean, yeah. I mean, 3.5 stars. I mean, what can you say? I mean, this was a great jump off to this edition of Dynamite. And yeah, I mean, MJF getting the win over Konosuke Takeshita. I mean, this was a big win for him. And now he has to wait to find out what happens later on tonight with Bryan Danielson and Rush. So we'll see what happens with that. So nothing more to say. Let's move on, Florio.
All right, and we move on to the next match of the evening, which was another eliminator match. Now, when it comes to eliminator matches, what the concept of that? Very simply, if the champion loses, then the opponent gets a championship match down the road. And had Takeshita won tonight, he would have gotten a World Heavyweight Championship match with MJF next week on Dynamite. But obviously that did not happen. Would the same be said for the Women's Championship Eliminator match with the AEW Women's Champion Jamie Hayter alongside of Dr. Britt Baker and Rebel squared off against the Bunny, who had Penelope Ford super bad in her corner. And the winner of the match in 6 minutes and 20 seconds, it was the AEW World Heavyweight, the AEW Women's Champion it was Jamie Hayter with the Haterade for the 1-2-3. So Michael Bullock, Takeshita will not get a world title match against MJF, and the Bunny will not get an AEW women's title match against Jamie Hayter in what was by default the worst fight of the night, although there was nothing remotely bad about it.
What was the time, Florio?
I'm sorry about that. 6 minutes and 20 seconds.
Yeah, I'll give this about maybe somewhere between 2.5. I mean, like you said, by default, this was the worst fight of the night, even though it really wasn't all that bad. And yeah, I mean, and Jamie Hayter getting a big win here, and of course, denying the Bunny an opportunity at the AEW Women's World Title. So now the question is, what's next for Jamie Hayter? So we'll wait and see. So it's yours, Florio.
The majority of the bout took place during the commercial break, and at one point, an ugly spot appeared to lead to the sudden finish. It was disappointing for the Bunny, who does not get highlighted nearly enough on television. The match also failed to properly spotlight Hayter. Not really much to say about it. Ugly finish saw the Bunny potentially injured, leading to a quick finish coming out of the break. And 2.5. Bullock nailed it. So that was really the only blemish on this show tonight. Well, all right. Then we had the absolute Ricky Starks had to run the gauntlet against the Jericho Appreciation Society. First up was Angelo Parker. Ricky Starks defeated Angelo Parker in 1 minute and 17 seconds. And then Matt Menard was the next opponent. And Ricky Starks defeats Matt Menard in only 18 seconds. And then in almost 9 minutes, 8 minutes and 53 seconds, the final fall was Daniel Garcia. But Daniel Garcia won the match in a total time of 10 minutes and 28 seconds. These are very tricky to rate, so I'm not really going to give it a rating on this. I'm going to go no rating on this because matches like these are always tough to rate. This was fine for what it was, but there is not a single reason this could not have just been Garcia versus Starks in a one-on-one match. That match would have been better, and those two would have had more time to deliver a high-quality bout. Perhaps more significant than anything that happened here was what appeared to be less of a reaction for Starks than he had enjoyed in previous weeks. Whether that is a reflection of so-so booking on the heels of his championship clash with MJF last month, or a program that is not clicking as some likely hoped it would. It does not change the fact that Starks was among the hottest stars on the show not all that long ago, and it can be argued that certainly is not the case right now. Hopefully, the inevitable rematch with Chris Jericho rectifies that, but history suggests the outcome of that match may not be as obvious as one would think, and that's problematic. Starks quickly dispatched the former 2.0, confirming their status in the hierarchy of JAS members. Starks countered a guillotine from Garcia into a sit-out powerbomb, but could not follow up with a pinning attempt. And then you noticed a masked man blasting Ricky Starks with a back elbow on the floor, setting up the finish, only to be revealed as Chris Jericho with a Judas effect. So this is gonna be like a no rating, an NA, because these are very tricky to rate. So I can't really put a rating on this, to be honest with you. So, but not much more to say here. Michael Bullock, Starks fails to run the gauntlet. He took care of the former Ever-Rise 2.0 guys, but he came up short against Daniel Garcia, thanks to Chris Jericho in a mask, knocking him out with a Judas effect.
Yeah, I'm going to go with a no rating as well. And like you said, I mean, it's tough to rate matches like this. And yeah, Ricky Starks was this close to getting a match with Chris Jericho. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens now that Ricky Starks his attempt got thwarted thanks to Chris Jericho disguised in a mask. So, yeah, so no rating for me. It's yours, Florio.
All right, Bullock, and we move on now to the big match. This was it. The final match of the MJF gauntlet, if you will, for Bryan Danielson as he went up against El Toro Blanco Rush. Bryan Danielson had to win this match. A win here, and Bryan Danielson would finally get what he wants. The 60-minute Iron Man match with MJF for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship at the Revolution pay-per-view next month in San Francisco. And the winner of the match in 14 minutes and 48 seconds, and on his way to Revolution, the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson. Bryan Danielson wins the match. And Michael Bullock, a lot of praise for this match. If you've read the reviews in the dirt sheets and all over social media, high praise for this match, and rightfully so. Now, granted, these two guys are not, huge guys like, say, a Braun Strowman or a Sheamus or a Gunther or a McIntyre or what have you. Despite that, they still put on what I consider to be a man fight here tonight.
Oh, yeah, this was definitely a be a man fight. I mean, so much so, I'm going to give this 4 stars. I mean, what a match this was. It was physical. It was physical. It was high flying. I mean, you got a little bit of everything in this match. I mean, and these two certainly need to be commended for putting on a match that everybody in the IWC is definitely going to be talking about. So, yeah, and now Bryan Danielson punches his ticket to Revolution and a date with MJF in a 60-minute Iron Man match. I mean, now Danielson is one step closer to becoming the champion. We'll wait and see what happens with that. But Florio, as I give it to you, our man gets it done.
CCC. And you heard the fans chanting yes in Spanish, which, of course, that is C, of course. And yeah, so that was pretty cool. But all right. What a match. MJF in cahoots with Preston Vance and Jose did everything in his power to keep Bryan Danielson from making it to the ring for a scheduled match with El Toro Blanco Rush, including locking him in his own dressing room. But a determined American Dragon shouldered his way out and sprinted to the ring, only to find himself on the defensive and bloodied early. Nothing would deter Danielson, though, as the best wrestler in the world cashed his ticket to the Revolution pay-per-view on Sunday, March 5th, and an AEW World Heavyweight Championship Iron Man match against MJF by way of a Bunsaiko knee to the face of Rush. This was nothing short of fantastic as Danielson continued to assert his greatness, and Rush reminded the world of why he was once considered the future of Ring of Honor. Both men were extraordinary, delivering up to even the loftiest of expectations, a match that would have fit perfectly on any pay-per-view card. It was an intense, hard-hitting affair that saw the American Dragon absorb everything thrown at him before proving his will was strong, even when his body may not have been. The post-match beatdown by MJF was great and built even more heat for the detestable villain ahead of a match with Danielson that should prove to be one of the defining of his young career. Rush walked away, apparently avoiding a tope suicida. Danielson responded by changing course and delivering one anyway. Rush cut off Danielson's late surge with a nasty forearm and a straightjacket piledriver for 2. An exchange of chops descended into the trading of headbutts as the action intensified late. And after the match, MJF attacked Danielson with a dynamite diamond ring and applied the devastating armbar. Security physically had to pull him off heading into the break. This was 4 1/4, teetering on 4.5 stars for me. You could easily make an argument for fight of the night here. No question about it. Incredible match. A lot of praise for this match. And I'm not at all surprised that I've read a lot of positive feedback for this match. So let's move on now to the first of our 2 championship matches on this show tonight. We had the battle for the AEW World Trios Championship. The champions, the Elite, Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson, of course, with Brandon Cutler, Michael Nakazawa, and Don Callis, before Don Callis joined the announce team for commentary. They defended their titles against Top Flight, Dante and Darius Martin, along with their buddy AR Fox. And the winners of the match in 15 minutes and 4 seconds, and still the AEW World Trios champions, Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, the Elite. What a match. Another fantastic match here. You could also make an argument for 4 1/4, maybe 4 1/2, but this was an incredible match. I don't know what else there is to say that hasn't been said. The challengers fell just short, but not without another breakout performance by AR Fox. The Indie and Lucha Underground veteran seized another opportunity and showed out, begging the question, why did it take so long for someone to give him a chance to showcase his skill on this stage? Fox was fantastic, hanging with the Elite and appearing to have the Elite teetering on the edge of defeat on more than one occasion. Ultimately, Kenny Omega was able to out-wrestle him late, narrowly escaping with his team's titles via a roll-up. Wildly effective party bout that had the fans invested from the get-go and allowed the challengers to shine. And some may say the Elite still feels stale, but at least they padded the win-loss record here, and they have another quality match to tout. Fox rolled through a snapmare by Omega and delivered a cutter. Fox dove over the top rope and wiped the Bucks out with a tope con hilo. A second did the same to Omega. Fox delivered a 450 splash to Nick Jackson, only to have his pinfall broken up at the last second by Omega. Nick Jackson delivered a springboard moonsault to wipe out Top Flight at ringside. A V-trigger followed by the Dr. Bomb failed to put Fox down for 3. And Fox countered the one-winged angel into a roll-up for a dangerously close 2 count. That was literally 2 99 100ths. So that's all I can say on that. So 4 to 4 1/4 stars for this match as well. Maybe 4 1/2 might be a little stretching it, but I think 4 to 4 1/4 is the appropriate rating for this match, because this was a very, very good match. And I'm not surprised that they tore the house down. So not much more to say here. Michael Bullock, predictable outcome, yes. We all knew the Elite was going to go over, but boy, howdy, did the Martin brothers and AR Fox. Boy, you talk about giving them one hell of a try. If that wasn't a hell of a try, tell me what was.
Yeah, they certainly gave the young Bucks and Kenny Omega a run for their money. They gave it their all here, but in the end, it was just too much for them in a real banger of a match here. 4 1/4. I mean, what else can you say about it? I mean, the champions stay the champions. So, yeah, there's really nothing more to say. So, let's move on for it.
And Bullock, we move on to the main event of the evening, which you'll be starting off on. The AEW World Tag Team Championship on the line. The champions, the Acclaim, Max Caster and Anthony Bowens, defending against the Gun Club, Austin and Colton Gunn. And the winners of the match in 10 minutes and 34 seconds. And new AEW World Tag Team Champions, Austin and Colton Gunn. They win the titles via nefarious means. All right, Bullock. Now let me just set this up for you before you start off on this review here, and that is, when I heard that this match was going to be the main event, I had a bad feeling something clunky was going to happen, and my suspicions were right. There was a small part of me like, oh no, don't tell me the Guns are going to win the belts. Sure enough, the Guns won the belts, but they didn't, and they won it by nefarious means, but not the nefarious means I thought. I honestly thought that Papa Billy was going to turn on the Acclaim, but no. It took a shot with one of the belts to the head, the infamous belt shot to the head, and that was enough. And here we are, Bullock. The Guns, the Ass Boys, if you will, are now your brand new AEW World Tag Team Champions, ending the Acclaim's run at 140 days.
Yeah, you could, and I'll say, Florio, the Guns basically acted like asses with the way they won it tonight. I mean, I would give it 3 stars, but I'm gonna bump it down to 3.5 because of the overbooked finish here. I mean, especially like you said, with them using the belt to try to win this match. So yeah, they end the reign of the Acclaimed as the AEW World Tag Team Champion. So yeah, there's really nothing more to say for me. So Florio, I mean, in my personal opinion, I mean, it's a 3-star match, but because of the overbooked finish, I have to bump it down to 2.5.
That's what you meant to say, because you said 3 and 3.5, and I'm like, but at least you caught yourself. So all right, 2.5. I can understand that rating. But I'll give it 3 for the effort. Let's take a moment to let this sink in. Austin and Colton Gunn won the AEW World Tag Team Championship in the main event of AEW Dynamite tonight. Again, I say, take a moment to let that sink in. A solid match between the second generation stars and the Acclaims. Max Caster and Anthony Bowens descended into an overbooked mess late, with a referee bump and a teased heel turn by Billy Gunn before the ill-advised outcome that saw the Guns claim gold. The Acclaimed is one of the most overacts in any company in professional wrestling and had gone through so much to win the AEW World Tag Team Championships last September as part of Grand Slam. Best yet, they were nowhere near close to their popularity diminishing, which means this outcome is even more befuddling. There will be some that defend the booking of this, suggesting that the screwy nature of the outcome will build heat for the Guns and set up a return match that will be even hotter as fans anticipate Caster and Bowens regaining the titles. However, that's not the impression the finish left. One fan was visibly seen uttering the words, "What the F?" while the overall tone of the closing moments of the show was one of either confusion or dismay. Again, not because the crowd was pissed off at the Guns for cheating by blasting Bowens with a championship to set up the cheap schoolboy roll-up, but because the decision to use the Guns to dethrone the Acclaimed just feels wrong. Maybe Tony Khan can rectify this and heat up a story quick enough to get fans excited about a rematch, maybe for Revolution. But as it stands now, this did not get over at all like management likely hoped. And no amount of TK spin is going to make it so. There were a few highlights about this. Taz put over both teams for having developed and evolved out of AEW Dark. It's an element of the match that went unexplored because so much was made of Billy Gunn's status as an absentee father or something like that. Rare miscommunication from Bowens and Caster did not cost the Acclaim, as all 4 competitors took each other down with clothesline spots. Anthony Bowens rocked referee Stephon Smith with a rolling elbow, leading to a rare referee bump. Billy Gunn hit the ring and momentarily teased the heel turn before Colton rocked him with one of the tag title belts. And then Bowens delivered the arrival and Caster followed with the mic drop, but Stephon Smith's absence prevented them from winning. I'll give it a solid 3 for the effort. So not much more to say on that. So overall, give it about maybe 7.5, teetering on 8 out of 10. I know that finish is going to leave a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths, and rightfully so. But we had 3 very good quality matches here tonight, with Bryan Danielson and Rush stealing the show. You also had, first of all, go out of your way to see Danielson versus Rush. Also, go out of your way to see the World Trios title match with the Elite, the Martin Brothers and AR Fox. And also go out of your way to see MJF against Konosuke Takeshita. Everything else you can pretty much skip, unless there are some who are diehard fans of the Gun Club, the Colton and Austin Gunn. if you're fans of them, you'll have a field day with that tonight. But I think 7.5, teetering on 8. It was a very good show. Great wrestling here tonight, and the effort's always there, and the show is always and the show is always fun to watch. I mean, unlike NXT, where the 2 hours, and especially last night's show, those 2 hours literally dragged to the point where I couldn't wait for the show to be over. I wasn't saying that tonight because this show flew by like that. Let me tell you. But then again, each and every week, it damn near always does. Another fun watch tonight. So 7.5 to 8 for me. So Michael Bullock, from an in-ring perspective, great show, especially those 3 matches. Danielson, Rouge, the trio match with the Elite, the Martins, and AR Fox, and MJF and Konosuke Takeshita. That's what really put this show over the top tonight.
Oh yeah, 7.5 to 8 for me. I mean, this was. It was. We saw a lot of really good wrestling here. I mean, the one that really everyone is going to be talking about is Rush and Bryan Danielson. That was one hell of a match, and of course that trios title match. I mean, that was something as well. So. Yeah, so great job once again by AEW. So 7.5 to 8. So with that being said, Florio, let's put a wrap on this and set the table for tomorrow night.
Huge show tomorrow night. Yes, sir. So with that will put the bow on this edition of Wednesday Night Madness. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in as always. We'll be back with you tomorrow night, 10:30, right back here on the Tone 25, here on YouTube and Streamy.com. for a very special edition of TXN Sports World. Huge edition of TXN Sports World, as it's going to be all about Super Bowl 57. Our complete, comprehensive, detailed preview of Super Bowl 57 between the AFC champion Kansas City Chiefs and the NFC champion Philadelphia Eagles. We're going to break down every nook and cranny of this game like we always do. Same style as we always do. So we'll determine who has the advantages in all of the categories, and I'll see what those categories are tomorrow night when we start the show. So it's going to be all about that, and then of course we'll end the show, of course, with our prediction, our game and score prediction, as we always do, and we'll take it from there. So that's tomorrow night, Super Bowl 57 preview on a very special edition of TXN Sports World, 10:30 tomorrow night. And then Friday night at 11 p.m. over on, hopefully on MF's channel, Brace Fan 95, it will be the Cerebral Smack Talk with Girl MF Michael Fletcher, as we will be reviewing Friday Night SmackDown and AEW Rampage as always. And then Monday night, we kick off Elimination Chamber Week with Monday Night Raw's Go Home show from the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. We'll review that and my latest Tony's take on Impact Wrestling and NXT Level Up. And then 1 week from tonight, it will be another edition of Wednesday Night Madness. Hopefully MF will be back on with us for that one, as we will talk about next week's NXT and AEW Dynamite. So that's it. So until tomorrow night for our huge Super Bowl 57 preview edition of TXN Sports World, it's Anthony Florio here for the Phenom, Michael Bullock, and in spirit, good old MF Michael Fletcher, and of course, always and forever, the first lady of this show, the Twisted Angel DD Woodson. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw it up Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed Thursday. And until tomorrow night for our Super Bowl 57 preview edition of TXN Sports World, you've been watching Wednesday Night Madness right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube and Streamer.com. And remember, my friends, no matter what anyone tells you beyond anything else, wrestling is indeed actually real. For everybody who's been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Florio. So long, and bye, everybody. Bye.